Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. You're receiving it because your student has been eloping. Now, I learned this word in the past couple years myself. I always thought it meant getting married, which would be a much bigger conversation than this one. But your student is just in the middle of class, will just leave class, right? Or when they go to transition from one class to the next, instead of going to the next class, they'll go elsewhere, right? So elopement for your student has been an ongoing issue. I think it would help to understand why this is such a big issue here at school, why the sort of pressures this puts on the school, and how it's difficult for this school to get ahead unless we can deal with this with you, if we can get your help, because we need it. So what does elopement do to the school? What are the consequences of elopement, right? So when a student isn't in their desk, right, what are some of the concerns? Let's take a look. Well, number one, all caregivers understand a child's whereabouts is a safety security issue. If I don't have eyes on a student, what might that student decide to do? Might they endanger themselves? Might they engage in behavior that they oughtn't to, that of course you would not allow in your home? Possibly, right? It's a school. It's a middle school, and they go on to high school. So bigger issues are coming to the fore. So we need you to help us keep your child safe. It is first and foremost a safety issue, keeping your child supervised, right? As we all want our children supervised. Here, it disrupts the flow of learning for others when elopement occurs, right? If everybody is focused on one particular thing and all of a sudden a student just, right? Well, that gets in the way of learning. Students are naturally curious. They want to know, why did they leave the class? What are they doing in the hallway? And if you ever overhear students eloping together in the hallway, it sounds, honestly, it sounds like a great time, right? So it distracts from learning. Teachers, your caregivers during the school day, must report elopement to the office. So if I'm in the middle of teaching and a student leaves, or I notice that a student is in the hallway that doesn't have a pass, I'm obligated to call up the office and say, the student is not where they ought to be. So that stops me from what I'm doing, which is teaching, right? Conversations in the hallway begin to compete for students' attention in other classrooms. Sometimes the elopement might just be right outside doors and students refuse to come in. Your student may be doing this, and the conversation outside sometimes threatens to take the attention of other students in the room, and it's an ongoing conversation. Of course that's an issue for teachers that are responsible for teaching students and students that are responsible for learning from the teachers and from one another, all right? Administrators must turn their attention from academic issues to immediate pressing safety issues. Again, it's a safety issue, and safety comes first, which means that learning comes second. Administrators, of course, are in charge of discipline. As you probably remember when I was in middle school, I remember administrators were in charge of discipline, but I also noticed that they were in charge of curriculum. They were in classrooms, they were observing. These are things that really help teachers out. We're a community of learners as teachers, and we need our administrators to be observing us and telling us what's working, what isn't working, giving us their expertise. And they can't do that if they're having to come get your student and bring them back to class. Even though they have to do that because it is, like I said, a safety issue. All right? Case managers, other teachers, mentors, and related school personnel must stop what they're doing and address elopement. It's not just administrators, sometimes it's a special ed teacher, sometimes it's the hallway monitor, sometimes it's other teachers that notice that they're eloping. So there might be one eloper, but there are many individuals that have to deal with that elopement. So it's crucial that you have an important conversation now with your student about staying in the room or going to where they're supposed to go. Teachers spend planning time contacting home trying to enlist the help of advocates for students' learning. Of course you advocate for your student learning, And we are sending you this video in hopes that future conversations can be forestalled, can be stopped, so that we can focus on making the best lessons for your student that we can. Every teacher wishes they had about 24 extra hours every day just to look even closer at that essay, to look even closer at that math problem, to find a new way to teach something, to see what a colleague does, to talk with their colleague about it, right? We want what's best for your young learner. We can't do that if we have to spend our time trying to get students back into the room. All right? It's just such an essential piece, being present for a lesson. Finally, maladaptive responses to learning activities engenders a profound, long-lasting negative impact on learning and life outcomes. It is likely, of course, it may not be the case with your specific student, but it is likely that this is going to impact their grades, right? If you're not there to take a test, but you're present in the building, that's just a 0. Your student's not a 0. They can figure out something on the assessment or the essay. We believe in your student. We know they can do well, but we need them in the classroom. And if these habits continue for the rest of middle school, would it magically stop when they get to the high school? Of course not. And all of a sudden they have a bad grade in high school, and that grade follows them to college and determines where they go. No one wants that. We want the colleges to look and see students at their best. We don't want these habits to leave middle school and haunt your student up there. We want what's best for your student. So please do take the time to have a very serious conversation with your student, because it's a very serious issue. We need them in class. We really, really need them in class. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this with your student. All right, have a good one.